I've not read the book yet. I'm sure I'll read it and I'm sure I'll like it. But like, why did you decide to use a word like liberal that is, like, as you said, is laced with negative connotations, and that's almost become a buzzword without much of a meaning now. And in the same question, what would you say defines a liberal? And how much of room do we as liberals have to disagree with each other? I disagree with you on dynastic politics. I think it's okay as long as the politician is okay. So how much of a room do we have to disagree?
We have complete room to disagree. Gandhi and Ambedkar were at loggerheads. They didn't agree on a large number of issues. But I think the belief that you can have friendship and cooperation and love without 100% agreement is a crucial liberal premise. And I think that we liberals have often forgotten about that. And I think liberals have served liberalism badly. So, which is why I think that the word has become such a cuss word and has become a word of abuse. Hillary Clinton called her opponents a basket of deplorables. I don't want to talk to these, but the basket of deplorables, of course, defeated her. So I don't think that basket of deplorables word or that kind of attitude should be there. As I said, you can't be a North Sentinel liberal, that I'm the North Sentinel tribe. Anyone who comes close to me, I'm going to take aim at whoever tries to come close to my paradise. And if you come close to my paradise and try to threaten my little protected island, I'm going to kill you. So we cannot be North Sentinel liberals. So I think that's the reason why the word liberalism has fallen into disrepute, and which is why I think we need to go back to Gandhi and see how he interpreted liberalism. Gandhi didn't agree with Nehru. Gandhi didn't believe in a state. He didn't believe in the strong state. He believed in a decentralized state, but he chose Nehru as a successor. So I believe the reason why I actually did choose this particular word and this negative word is because I want to rescue the negative word and make it positive again. I want to renew it with new energy. And also I believe that the way the liberal project can be rescued is by the liberals speaking a positive and open and generous dialogue and not remain mired in anger and negativism, and also not remain trapped in state patronage. As you rightly said, as Manisha rightly said, liberals have gravitated too far to the state patronage, government jobs, government grants, government bungalows, and then you say that I'm a liberal and I want free speech, that only certain things are right, certain things are wrong. That, for example, I think selective liberalism is a problem. If a liberal stands for freedom of speech, I find the politics of Nathuram Godse repugnant. I don't believe in that kind of politics. I believe he was the assassin of Gandhi, and to me his politics is repugnant. But I still believe that the play Nathuram Godse Bolte Hai, which is the play about Nathuram Godse's life, should not be banned. I don't think it should be banned because people should have the right to see it. So the language of bans and diktats and banning Salman Rushdie and banning MF Hussain, all this happened under the Congress governments, which have been taken over by the Hindutva nationalist government. So that's why I'm saying that liberals have been illiberal, and therefore their illiberalness has now infected our entire life. So I think we need to go back to try and figure out what Gandhian liberalism is and try and rejuvenate that word with new meaning.
We'll have two more questions. I think one there and one here.
Yeah, hello ma'am. Ma'am, you mentioned about democracy being challenged by fascism, and now democracy is being challenged by democracy itself. So you also mentioned about new liberalism. So do you find anywhere in the future where democracy will be challenged by neoliberalism itself?
Well, I think that the forces of centralization of power, centralization of political power and centralization of corporate power are both, two sides of the same coin, because it's really the centralized government structure that creates the centralized corporate oligarchies. I think the mantra again is decentralization and local governments, and a decentralized corporate structure and a decentralized politics. I think that democracy is being challenged by democracy, because through the elected process we are now seeing elected dictators. As Manisha mentioned, whether it's Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil, whether it's Putin in Russia, whether it's Trump in America, whether it's Erdogan in Turkey, whether it's in Hungary, whether in Poland, in Czechoslovakia, everywhere people are coming through the democratic process and challenging democracy and actually turning their backs on institutions. So I think that the way to get over this is again to reignite civil society and to reignite the power of the citizen. Associations, groups, form clubs, form bodies that, where you can raise your voice collectively. See, alone, you will be overwhelmed. I know that the lone figure fighting fascism is a very romantic notion. The lone figure fighting Tiananmen Square, that tank coming, or the lone David versus... It's difficult to do that. As the historian Timothy Snyder says, freedom is association. You have to associate, you have to form groups, because loneliness is powerlessness. Loneliness is helplessness. It's through the power of association that you actually can challenge the forces that are threatening your individual liberty. So I think that it is really the power of civil society that has to come to our aid. I think that as far as business is concerned, the centralization of corporate power is really worrying. I think it's the social businesses, the decentralized corporate power, the setting up of ethical businesses, that actually the startups, all of that, I think those are very important to actually decentralize corporate power. California is the land of the startups, and California is not the aegis of government. It's not Washington, D.C. The great startups happened in California, miles away from government. California was the place where there was questioning, where there was an anti-establishment spirit. I mean, the hippies were great entrepreneurs, actually. So it's that hippie culture, the culture of non-conformism, the culture of innovation. So I believe it's by innovation in society that we can have innovation and diversity in economy. You can't have liberalism in society and then want a command and control economy, like many liberals of the Congress, I think, are trying to do. That we'll have a tightly controlled state economy, but we want social liberalism. Can you divide liberalism? Can you have social liberty and no economic liberty? Can you have liberty in society and not have liberty in the economy? Gandhi wrote extensively on this. He didn't believe so. He believed that if you have liberty and the power of the individual in society, then it must follow that there is liberty also in the economy. So I think these are very important questions, and I think the way out of centralization of power and the accumulation of power is citizens' action.
Okay, so two more questions.
Hello ma'am, I am a first year political science student and I would just like to read your books, but I don't think I can afford it. And my question might be very noob type question, but I think let me ask them. So till what I have read as criticisms of liberalism, like on one side conservative thoughts talk about responsibilities and duties and not rights, and whereas on the other side liberalism talks just about rights and not responsibilities. So what do you say on that? Liberalism is said to be considering man to be asocial.
Look, liberalism is not one theory, right? In my book, as I point out, it's 30 different types of liberalism. You can be classical liberalism, neoliberalism, revisionist liberalism, radical liberalism, left liberalism, right liberalism, orthodox liberalism, unorthodox liberalism. It's a broad tent of theories. Broadly, the burden of liberalism is individual liberty, so that not just a completely unregulated laissez-faire market, nor a situation which is controlled entirely by self-appointed experts. So I think liberalism sees itself as somewhere in the middle. I think when you're coming to rights and duties, I think the reason why I emphasize that within liberalism there is a huge premium on the rule of law. And you know, unless you follow the rule of law, unless you accept the rule of law, unless you accept constitutional morality, you then cannot have access to freedom. So that is the issue. So you see, if I accept the rule of law, then I accept duties and I accept my responsibilities. I accept the responsibility not to kill you. I accept the responsibility not to barge in and disrupt your seminar. I accept the responsibility not to shoot you if I disagree with you. So I have to accept the rule of law if I want the freedom of my speech and your speech. So because I want freedom, I have to respect your freedom. You see, I can't only want freedom and not accept your freedom. I can't say that you have no right to exist, I will kill you. And I have the right to unleash my goons and come and kill you. I can't do that if I want my freedom. Because then if I kill you, somebody else will kill me. So I have to accept your freedom if I want to avail of my freedom. That is the Gandhian formula. And I believe that is the reason why liberalism is important, because it accepts the freedom of others in order for you to be free. I mean, I may be a vegetarian, but I have to accept that you may be a non-vegetarian. I cannot have a law saying everybody in this land has to be vegetarian, simply because that's my personal choice. I have to adhere to a constitutional morality that permits you to be a non-vegetarian and me to be a vegetarian. Well, prohibition, I believe, is a very important subject. I don't think Gandhi himself ever wanted prohibition to be written into law. Gandhi didn't even want cow slaughter to be made into law. Actually, it's given as a directive principle.
Hello. And congratulations for writing the book, and I'm sure it must be very interesting. My question is, from what I've heard, it seems that there seems to be to be able to get a certain level of liberalism, there has to be, you're working in a framework that you have created, and within that framework you need to kind of be at a certain point where liberalism can exist, and there is that place where everybody is free and can express and do what they want to. So my question to you is that which time of the history in India, as you have possibly looked at that, have we kind of celebrated that liberalism? So what is that best point that we
well,
have?
as I said, I think Gandhi was the father of India's liberalism. So I think the Gandhian movement was a time of liberalism. I think India's founders were very liberal. I think every time there has been a politician or a government that has tried to roll back government power, that has been the time when liberal freedoms have flourished. For example, I feel that the 1991 liberalization of the economy was a time when India was able to achieve a certain liberal moment. I believe the Vajpayee government again was interested in fostering individual liberty. That was also a time of a liberal moment. So I think there have been individual politicians who have been liberal, but I don't think there's been a liberal period in Indian history. I don't think there's been a period of glorious liberalism, which is why I think that we need to work at it. We all need to understand what liberalism means. You see, liberalism is about individual freedom. Today you have the freedom to wear jeans, for example. Do you want a situation where somebody brings in a law saying no woman will ever be able to wear jeans? You all have to wear saris from head to toe. I choose to wear a sari, but that's because I choose to. But do you want a situation where a law is brought in that you have to only wear saris? Do you want a situation where a law is brought in that a woman cannot wear mini skirts or the woman cannot drink? So we have to understand why freedoms are important and why individual liberty is important. And I think individual liberty is important because we want to enjoy the freedoms that our Constitution gave us. And I think that that's why we need to fight for individual liberty and the right to eat what we want, think what we want, do what we want, wear what we want, worship what we want, within the framework of constitutional morality.
Thank you very